joins us now. Before we get into the debate about what you do and what you're going to do, how are you with these threats?
I'm fine, or as well as can be expected, but they're coming after me for violating the Sharia, for violating the blasphemy laws. And they mean to come after everyone that doesn't abide by, voluntarily, the blasphemy laws under Islamic law.
It is one thing to have them attack what you say. It is another thing for them to want to actively attack you. How has your life changed now since this exposure of this, and even before, about what you thought you may face?
Well, clearly I'm under 24-hour guard now, so that's dramatically changed. Anybody that speaks critically of Islam will find themselves in this position, and it's not new. We see this is going on across Europe and even the Middle East and Africa. In Bangladesh, hundreds of thousands of Muslims have marched for the death penalty for bloggers, that they be put to death. It's interesting, in Muslim countries under the Sharia, there is a death penalty for blaspheming Muhammad. In the West, you're not assassinated, but your character is assassinated. You are defamed, libeled, and ridiculed if you dare criticize Islam. That's where we are right now.
Are you going, I know the answer to this question, but explain your answer to this question. Have you thought that, ooh, maybe I went too far, this wasn't worth it, I'm going to change how I do what I do now?
Drawing a cartoon, an innocuous cartoon, warrants chopping my head off? That's too far? I just don't understand this. They're going to come for you too, Chris. They're coming for everybody. And the media should be standing with me, particularly in light of Foley. The media should have understood that by kowtowing and submitting to Islamic law, that is what you are doing.
How?
By not running the cartoon, by saying that Pamela Geller goes too far in running a cartoon. It's the First Amendment. What happened to give me liberty or give me death? And, you know, we see the...
But you have the liberty. You can show the cartoon. People have the equal right to criticize your showing the cartoon as an overt provocation of a religion. An
overt provocation. First of all, we see Jesus blasphemed mercilessly on South Park. We see the cross immersed in a jar of urine. We see Mother Mary, immersed in dung. Nobody says anything about that.
That's not true. Those things get criticized
Nobody
as well.
gets killed. Embassies don't get burned. Villages don't get burned. I am asking you, we all don't like our religion mocked. The Roman Catholics don't, the Christians don't, the Mormons don't, and the Book of Mormon, is viciously anti-Christian. Nobody's getting killed. Why do we condescend to Muslims? Well, I certainly don't. I expect the same behavior. I expect civilized behavior. But it is the low expectation of soft bigotry. Why don't you expect the same thing from Muslims? That they have to accept that...
Well, you do accept it. You do expect it. Rather, you have your laws in place. The question that I think your behavior raises is, why go slight for slight with the Muslims? Why not do what we often teach as a function of virtue when we're dealing with savagery, which is show that we are better than this, not show that we can poke them in the eye in a way they don't like it.
That's not what you're doing. You are submitting, and you are kowtowing, and they're saying to you, if you draw a little cartoon, if you draw a stick figure and say it's Muhammad, we're going to come and kill you. And so you say, okay, well, we won't draw it.
But here's the thing.
CNN won't show, and like the other major networks.
First of all,
wait, I just
you know that one of my problems with that is that I did show the cartoon after Charlie Hebdo, but I also understand the security concerns of CNN as an organization, and you should as well, because if you hold another event, you knew there was a risk before. Not everybody can have 24-hour security. People will come to this event in their role as their form of patriotism, and they may be exposed to violence because you're dealing with crazy people.
They're not crazy, they're devout. And you gave...
No, they are not just devout. They're not just devout.
Listen, you have to let me finish.
All right, go ahead.
You gave them that power. In the wake of the 9/11 attacks, the Danish cartoons in 2005, they were very innocuous. Not one American media outlet would run those cartoons. You gave the violent jihadists the power.
Because members of the Muslim community who aren't terrorists said they found it offensive.
So what? I find a lot of things offensive. I find your position offensive. I find you telling me that my speech offensive. I find that offensive. I'm not going to kill you. This is what is required to live in a pluralistic society. And I will not abridge my First Amendment rights so as not to offend savages, which is what is being demanded of me by you and your colleagues.
No, no, no,
if the media
Who has told you don't do it?
If the media had run those Danish cartoons, none of this would be happening. They couldn't kill everybody. What you did
But you also make it sound like this is what the war is about, is
this
these
is
cartoons. No, it isn't.
Yeah, it
How
is.
is this what it's about?
It's about freedom.
ISIS wants control of territory. They want everyone to live their way. The cartoon is the least of it. It just seems like you're throwing a stone at something that doesn't really help anyone.
Throwing a stone at something that can get my head chopped off, and it's getting people's heads chopped off all across the world.
But that's why I'm talking to you about it, because it's one thing to say they don't like the cartoon, I'm going to show it. Which is exactly what I did after the Charlie Hebdo massacre.
And those cartoons, I found them offensive. They were obscene and they were pornographic. But I still will defend to my death their right to show those cartoons. And it is about the cartoons. It's about freedom. This is a fight. It's about freedom or submission. You're submitting. You could say, I'm not doing it for that reason, but you're doing it.
But here's the thing. You say it's submitting because we won't show the cartoon. When I talk about these guys, I say they're crazy. You say they're devout. Me being more hostile toward them than you. I won't say their names. We call them murderers. We say about terror what it is, which is cowardice. That's how we talk about it all the time. It's far more provocative than just showing an inane cartoon like you're doing. So it's not about surrender. It's about sensibility.
Yeah. Showing
mainstream Muslims will say, you know, we don't like this. It's the same reason. I'm not going to show Piss Christ gratuitously. You know, that's not what you're doing.
So
that was about stopping funding for First Amendment speech, by the way, Piss Christ. That was a different issue.
You just keep contradicting yourself.
How?
First
Where?
Of all,
Show me one contradiction.
Wait a minute. Where are mainstream Muslims teaching in the mosques against the blasphemy laws, against the Islamic law, against the Sharia? What programs are being instituted against the jihadic doctrine?
Sharia is not mainstream Muslim thought, as you know. It's a cultural adaptation.
I don't know that at all.
It's about tradition. It's not about the Quran.
It's not a cultural adaptation. It's Islamic law. This is the law in Muslim lands.
It is the law through tradition. It is not laid out in the Quran.
It is
in developed
laid out
societies,
under Sharia.
they have, you know, you go to Pakistan, you go to places even in Indonesia, they have parallel systems that, yes, take their tradition into play, but they also believe in justice the way we do here. Muslims are not savages.
I never said they were.
Well,
did you?
Yes, I just did in a question to you because,
said that.
Well, you say I have problems with Islam. You know, you put your friend there as the keynote speaker who is overtly attacking Islam. You know,
I have a problem with the Sharia and I have a problem with jihad. I don't care if you worship a stone. Just don't stone me with it. And you're wrong about the Sharia and you're wrong about jihad. I mean, Islam as a religion, I don't care about Hinduism, I don't care about Sikhism. The difference between canon law is it pertains only to Christians. Jewish law pertains only to Jews. But the Sharia, Islamic law, asserts its authority over non-Muslims.
I know, but just because they assert their authority...
Which is why Christians are being slaughtered and in Iraq, in Syria. You say the Islamic State. What's the difference between the Islamic State and Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda?
Nothing. Those are all hateful terrorist groups.
They are devout Muslim groups following literal Islam, following pure Islam. You could say no.
We have experts on all the time on Islam who are actually Muslim.
Who are your experts? I'd like to know.
I'll give you a whole list.
Ibn Waraq on?
I'll have you a whole list.
You ever have Robert Spencer on?
These are terror groups.
You have Islamic apologists on.
These are terror groups. They're not mainstream groups. You know this, Pam. What I'm saying is why teach people to view Islam through the lens of the worst of Muslims?
No one is teaching people that, but people need to understand the jihadic doctrine and that it is coming for you. And mainstream Muslims should be standing with me shoulder to shoulder in defense of free speech, in defense of our freedoms. This is absurd, your position, that we should abridge our freedoms.
I don't have that position.
And radical
I don't have that position, and you know it.
The most on the face of the earth.
But you know that. You know that I embrace your right to do it. I bring you on here to discuss it because I embrace the right. And we will do it again going forward because I know that this will not stop you, this threat, from having events and saying what you think is right.
No, I have a couple of very big initiatives coming up.
Well, we look forward to hearing what they are. And I'm glad that you're safe, and I hope you stay that way.
Thank you very much.